Report. We're back for another year. My name is Randy Rosenbloon, your host. I'll be joined by Tarek Fattal of the Daily News momentarily. But aren't you excited to have prep football back? It's actually started tonight in the Southland. We're going to talk about a game between Bishop Amat that's going on right now against Valencia. We'll get some insight on that game, as we have found out that Bishop Amat has a 22-3 lead there. But we're going to talk about some key games tomorrow night. There's a lot more on the slate tomorrow evening. But in studio, joining me once again is Tarek. He's smiling again. You must have had a great summer.
You know, a lot of golf. Not a lot of good golf, but a lot of golf.
See, you didn't even have to say that. We knew it wouldn't be a lot of good golf. That was a given.
I beat colleague Fred Robledo 2 out of 3 times, so that was like the big thing for the summer for me.
That's a big thing. Speaking of big thing, we're going to have Jon Ellinghouse, the coach at Sierra Canyon. He's been there for a long time. He's done a marvelous job with their football program. They have a tough game tomorrow night against JSerra, who they beat a couple times last year. And later in the show, Jason Sabolic, the head coach at El Camino Real. They won a Division II city title last season. We're going to have some games on LA 36 involving the Royals, and we'll talk about that schedule with Jason in a moment. All right, let's talk about what that big game has in store for Sierra Canyon tomorrow night. They got to travel. They're on the road. They play JSerra, a team they're familiar with. They beat, but the games weren't easy. They had a tough team to get by, and they beat them in the playoffs. Now they meet them again in the opening game on the road, and that's a long haul to go from Chatsworth to San Juan Capistrano.
It's a storyline that I've been covering with the Sierra Canyon program for quite some time. They are trying to kind of breach the air of Division I playoff football here in Southern California. And in order to do that, you got to schedule a good, tough schedule. And what better way to start that by going and playing a Trinity League team on the road? So, you know, in my preview, I have Sierra Canyon beating JSerra tomorrow night, and that'll be the 3rd victory over JSerra in 2 seasons. But I know Jon Ellinghouse knows it'll be a tough test.
Yeah, it will be a difficult game, especially with that long schlep. And it's a beautiful drive, but it's just a long drive to San Juan Capistrano. Now, there's Sarah playing from Gardena. They're on the road with a lot of great athletes going to play Olu. And Olu won the Division II CIF Southern Section Championship last year. Gardena Sarah won a state title. They have a running back. Sincere is great. He's a sincere Haney. He can really tote the football. They have Broderick Pleasant in the secondary. But Olu has a lot of athletes.
That's a good heavyweight matchup. Sarah, I expect to be competing for a Mission League title this year. So anytime you're in the talks of a Mission League title, you must be a quality program. And Orange Lutheran, like you mentioned, Division II defending champions. So what better way to start week 0 other than 2 CIF champions, like you said, Sarah winning Division III, I think it was.
Yeah, the state. You know, what's interesting, too, is that Olu's another Trinity League team. So these are teams testing each other on the first week. And El Camino Real, as we jump into the city, they're going to test themselves as well. They have to play Palisades. The Dolphins won 10 games last year. We know El Camino won a lower Division II championship, which was a great accomplishment after an 0-5 start. But going to play on the road against the Dolphins is a big ask.
It is, and that's what's fun about the city section is this is going to be the challenge of the charters, as they say. And so we're going to see Palisades, El Camino Real. To be honest, I think Palisades might get them tomorrow, but ECR, I know, is a team on the rise. I think ECR is going to hit really good football midway through the season. Yeah,
they're going to have some tough games, some challenges in the West Valley League when they play the likes of Birmingham, who's the defending city champion, and Granada Hills got a great running back in DeJohn Stanley. I think it's that time. Don't you want to meet Jon Ellinghouse? He's your buddy.
Never heard of him.
Yes, you have. Don't you talk to him every week?
Ellinghouse is one of the good ones, man. That's one of the good ones. I won't say he's my favorite, but he's one of the good ones.
Oh, who is your favorite? You're taking. We got him on camera here. He's got to be your favorite.
I won't say that live on the air.
I first met Jon Ellinghouse a long time ago. You know, he's won 2 state titles and 5 CIF titles. And I was announcing, fortunately, the state championship game. He plays LeGrand. He's a baby back then. He's 30 years of age in 2011. You win the state title. I haven't seen you in a long time. Great to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's great to be here.
All right. What about tomorrow night? Are you concerned about that long bus ride and tough game at JSerra?
You know, absolutely. I can tell you JSerra is one of the best coach teams we play against. Got a great scheme, great kids, tough kids, and you guys touched on it. Playing a Division I Trinity League team, right out the gate is a great challenge, and we're still piecing it together. But I think we're going to be a great team, and this is you play like games like this so you get ready for the playoffs when those come, and you're able to go out and be used to long road trips and all that. So we couldn't be more excited about the challenge we got ahead of us here.
John, I kind of mentioned at the top of the show, and you even said it, the postseason, right? I think it's pretty clear Sierra Canyon is trying to be a Division I playoff program, and you have the talent to do it. Can you just talk about, you take on the Corona Centennials, fall a little short, some other programs fall a little short, St. John Bosco back in that spring season. But each time you play a program like that, what do you learn about your program and the progress to get to that Division I level?
Yeah, Randy touched on the first game in the state championship in 2011. What a great memory and great kids. That's kind of where it started, at the lower levels. And we've been climbing the ladder, and, we've been able to win a Division IV championship, a Division III championship, a Division II. And there's no doubt that the goal now is to make the Division I playoffs, and we've put ourselves up against the big boys. And I think we've definitely proven that we belong on that stage, but we've also proven that we've got some work to do. We've beaten great programs and Trinity League teams. We beat 3 Trinity League teams last year. We played the state champion from Arizona, which was a great challenge. So, we believe we've got to put ourselves up against the best. We want our kids to play on the big stage, and we're proud of the fact that we think we get better as the season goes along. And no matter where we end up in the playoffs, I think we're going to get better throughout the year. And I think that's really true of this team. We've got some new pieces, some guys that are still gelling together, and we'll see how we start tomorrow. But I really think that by the end of the season, when the real important games start to come, I think we're going to be a force.
John, obviously Sierra Canyon and Chatsworth, you guys have resources. But when you look at the southern section, it's all about really modern day in St. John Bosco. How can anybody break that tandem up? Is it going to be you? Is it going to be Corona Centennial? How do we break through that wall of those two schools?
I'll tell you what, we're going to give them everything we got, and we're a small school out here in Chatsworth that like you said, we take sports seriously. These kids are getting a great education, and at the same time, we've gone out there, and what a great experience going out and playing Bosco. I think we proved that we belong on that stage, and we proved that they were better, and so we're still grinding along. But I think this year's team has got a lot of talent, and I don't know what our goal is, but we definitely want to meet the Division I championships, and get out in that Division I bracket and then give them everything we got.
Let's talk a little bit more about Sierra Canyon now. John A., talk about some of your really good players. Terrell Cooks, Jojo Phillips, Cameron Brandt, just kind of highlight for the viewers some of the guys that if it just so happens they're watching Sierra Canyon on TV, what are some names they should look out for?
Yeah, absolutely. Love to. When you talk about our defense, which I think is going to be a really great part of our team this year, we got a guy, Cam Brandt, who just committed to Stanford, 6'4", 260 pounds, super explosive, and just one of the best kids you could ever imagine. Just a really great force. Kid Ruben Gamboa, who we're looking at to be an anchor on our defense and really played well in our scrimmage last week against Orange Lutheran. In the middle, we got a linebacker, Carmel Crunk. Carnell Ferguson is a defensive end. Nevada Miller, one of the more talented young players in our area. And, looking at kids like Jayon Young, Eddie Bird, Jai Bell, Bryce Morgan at the defensive backs. And I think that, on the offensive side, you talked about Terrell Cooks. He's a 4'3", 100-meter, definitely the fastest player we've ever had at our program, and is super explosive. And, I always joke that I spend my life's work trying to get Terrell Cooks 2 yards of space so he can make me look smart. And then I've got, some what I think is one of the better receiving cores around. And Jojo Phillips is a 6'5", 190-pound kid that runs like the wind. We played all the big dogs this summer, and I'll tell you what, I thought he was the best player on the field every time we played. So really excited about him. Lavon Brown, a kid that joined our program, who's going to burst on the scene, is one of the better players in Southern California, in my opinion. Cole Crawford, another receiver, Jalen Sumlin. So we're about 6'2" and above at the receiving positions, and then our O lineman, we've got a big guy, B.J. Brooks, who I think is one of the stronger kids we've ever had, and I couldn't be more excited about a kid, Dane Dunn, who you may not even know about, Tarek. I know I'm your favorite, by the way, but you don't have to tell anybody. But Dane Dunn is a kid that's going to explode on the scene this year as one of the best running backs, and him and Terrell Cooks will be a 1-2 combo. So we've got guys all over the field, and then really talented quarterbacks too. So we're really excited about Alonzo Esparza and Damon Reister. So prospects are high. We're looking forward to this year.
And before I let you go, you got 2 trophies behind you that we can see. Those are Cif State Championships, the win over LeGrand in 2011, and then you beat Sarah of San Mateo, Tom Brady's school, in 2016 in an absolute shootout where a guy, Bobby Cole, ran for like 220, 230 yards. Look back, show us those trophies, and one quick line on each game that you can give us a little capsule of how you became state champions in 2011 and 2016.
It's funny, Randy, you bring those up, but I like to think of the ones that aren't sitting there. I'm the typical coach. But, we beat LeGrand in 2011, and that was a great group of kids that bought into one another and really were the foundation of Sierra Canyon, or the Trailblazers, to use a corny pun there. But, they're just great kids, and that was what an experience playing in a Home Depot Center and doing that. And then we went up to Sacramento State. You mentioned Bobby Cole, Kanan Ray, Nico Harris, some of the better players that have ever been here. Just a great game and really talented team that we beat 42-40 in one of the most crazy endings you could ever experience in a high school football game. But really was a wild experience and something that I couldn't be more proud of. So, we've done a lot of really cool things around here. Really proud of the program we've built. But we still feel like we've got some getting better to do to be able to keep climbing the ladder like we want to.
Wish you well in that regard. And Tarek's got you #1 in the Daily News. Your football team, he's got rated as the best team in the San Fernando Valley. It's nice to be #1, isn't it?
Yeah, we want to be there at the end of the year. And I was joking with him earlier. I wanted him to rank us lower so we could make everybody angry and hungry. So we've been there. We're proud of being there. But more importantly, we want to be able to be there at the end of the year. So preseason rankings is great. It's great to talk about. But quite honestly, the work that we're going to do between now and the end of the year, and really the improvement from whatever we are tomorrow to where we hopefully will be when the playoffs start, is really what really matters for us.
Well, great. You've done a tremendous job in Chatsworth. Continued success, and good luck tomorrow night against Jay Sarah.
Hey, my pleasure, guys. Always a pleasure to see you guys, and thanks for having me be part of the show.
You got it.
Thanks, John.
Jon Ellinghouse, good guy.
One of my favorite things about John, I got a quick story. They played St. John Bosco in that spring season after the COVID fall season. COVID impacted that fall season that got canceled. And I'll never forget, they were going to play St. John Bosco, and I took a photo of him talking to his team. And they were about to play this nationally ranked program. And he looked at me and he said, Tarek, when I started this program, it was an 8-man program, and we practiced on a field we couldn't even line with chalk. And I think he said something like 5 or 6 kids showed up. And there he was taking on a nationally ranked team. So Jon Ellinghouse is a guy that's literally built that program from nothing to what it is now, and I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, again, 2 state championships, 5 CAF crowns. You don't do it much better than Jon Ellinghouse. Quickly before we move on to Jason, we're going to take this little peek, and you can see it's up to 29-3. Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yes.
Bishop Amat, 29-3. Valencia's got a good football team. Amat's come out. They've thrown the ball a little bit more. This is an impressive display by the Lancers.
I think, to be honest, we were expecting Bishop Amat to come out strong this year. They are a Mission League title contender. I mentioned Sarah Gardena will be one of those teams. Sierra Canyon will be one of those teams. And Bishop Amat. Those are the 3 teams I expect to compete for a Mission League title. And generally, a Mission League champion gets birth to that Division I playoff bracket. So, anyway, Bishop Amat, strong team, not surprised by the score.
Yeah, and we've got to take a little dip in there and take a look at that game, and it's one-sided right now for Bishop Amat. It looks like the Lancers will win that game. One thing that's interesting, we may have a game at SoFi Stadium at the end of the year, Mater Dei playing Bishop Amat in the regular season. They're talking about that. How would that be to have those kids get to play where the Rams and the Chargers play?
Right, so it would be Mater Dei, St. John Bosco, and SoFi Stadium. And you might be able to get 15,000, 20,000 people for that game in that stadium. You know, again, in SoFi, that's nothing, but for a high school football game, that's a lot of people. And I think it's something for the community. I think SoFi Stadium, you know, the people in charge over there, it's smart to get, you know, community involved in such a great, great venue. And I think even for those kids that know they're playing high-level college football in their future, to play in SoFi Stadium as a high schooler, pretty epic opportunity.
Of course, we got Garfield and Roosevelt on the city side later in the year playing at the Coliseum. It's just going to be a great year of high school football. Speaking of the city, we have Jason Sabolic joining us from El Camino, the Royals. They started out 0-5. He didn't shave then either. He finally shaved last year, and they started to win football games, and somehow they end up winning the D2 title. Jason, good evening. How are you tonight?
Excellent. Thank you, Randy. I got to tell you guys, this is really one of the epitomes of being able to do what I get to do, is talking to two wonderful human beings like yourselves, and I really do get to enjoy doing this. But, you know, can I really ask you guys next time, when you pick your guests, following Jon is like batting behind Barry Bonds in a lineup. So, but like you guys said, my hat's off to Jon and what he's been able to do and cementing a legacy over there at Sierra Canyon. I can only hope to follow up with maybe a base hit here. So.
Hey, wait a minute. You won the City Division II title last year. Let's throw back to that a little bit. You were a horrible football team at the beginning of the year, and by the end of the year, you turn it around and you win a city crown. That's pretty impressive. Was it players or was it all coaching?
You know, I'd love to take credit for it, but I'll let you know, at the end of the day, the kids really came together and, they bonded and they really wanted to do better. And they put forth the best effort, and really championships are won with programs that are able to practice at a high level, and showing up every day and practicing at a high level. It really turned the page for us. And once the kids got a sniff of winning because you got to remember, not only was it 0-5, in the beginning of last season, but they were coming off of 0-11 if you date back to that COVID season, and those kids hadn't won a varsity football game, and they were hungry. And once they got that taste of blood, it really was something that they craved on a weekly basis.
Jason, how challenging is it as a coach? I know you're a good coach, so you're teaching the right things, you're instructing, you're motivating, and the result is a loss. You do it again, the result is a loss. You do it again, the result. You know you're teaching the right stuff. How challenging is it to get a young person to believe you're teaching the correct thing despite the result not being victory? How'd you break through that wall there?
So you really hit the nail on the head, Tarek. I mean, that is one of the toughest things that a coach has to get forward. Not only do you have to impress the kids and get them to buy in, but you have to get the parents to buy in and not want to leave your program for greener pastures or programs that are winning on a weekly basis. But really, it starts with hard work and effort. You know, you get the kids to buy in because they see you here day in and day out. You don't miss. You're the first one there. You're the last one to leave. And slowly but surely, they understand that through hard work and effort, they really can do anything they set their minds to. You always see on any given Sunday, the quote goes that any team could win. The Davids beat the Goliaths. It doesn't really happen so much with, the city section against the southern section because there's so many other variables at play. But within each conference, within each level, the city in the southern section, if you get them to buy in, it really can move mountains. But once again, like you said, that's the toughest job that we have. I liken it to a good phrase that I heard from Chris Peterson when he was recruiting a couple of our players at Pierce College. And he said, Coach, we're looking for our kind of guys. And they're the guys that show up to practice when you're 0-10, and they put in the best effort when they're losing. I don't want the kid that shows up for practice when he's 10-0 because they don't know how to follow the road, the tougher path. So, we were battle tested, and I think that goes a long way.
By the way, what time is it where you live? I'm looking at your clock behind you. No, look at the clock behind you. It says like 10:20. You're in the wrong time zone.
Yeah, our clock system is a little bit off. I'm fresh off a back-to-school night. We are in week 2 of the semester, so.
Your clocks aren't the only thing that is off. Your football field is off. So I'm understanding that your football field is absolutely melted down, and you won't find out until the end of this month if you're even going to have a home game this year.
Yeah, that's correct. It's been like this for a little while, and we've been dealing with the elements. But once again, as we were talking about before, you show up and you do job, and you go home and you take stock in what you have going on. And if we're going to be a road team, we're going to be the El Camino Real Royal Road Warriors, and that's just the way that it is. You take stock with what you can and do what you do. And if that's the case, then we play 10 games on the road.
Jason, let's talk about your team a little bit. Same thing I asked John, just players, guys to kind of keep an eye on, guys that go-to guys, maybe guys that'll get into the backfield and get a sack for your team.
So offensively, we're led on into the season onto the field by our quarterback, Javen Hall, who is a returning junior who led the junior varsity team to a league title last year, went 8-2. We're very excited about him. And we also return our true freshman from last year, who's now a sophomore, Rafael Cortez. And, they do great things offensively. In the backfield, we have Colin Ermita, who's going to be a strong presence on the field. But up front, we're really excited to have a couple of kids returning in Vlad Derbeshian, who's getting a lot of interest from the Ivy Leagues. Big, smart, high GPA type of kid. You bookend him with another player who we returned this year, who was off last year, who's an all-city wrestler, Birkin Ranjbari. And then, you have more experience in Jaden Salas returning at center. So having kids that have started at the varsity level returning up front does wonders for us. I think we're probably going to be most improved on defense, especially up front, where you have the Ranjbari, Jake Shirley, who is a junior who returns on the edge. In the secondary, we have Devin Howard, who's returning all-city defensive back. So there's a lot of talent on the field. We're really excited what these kids can do. But once again, you battle, like everybody else, injury and eligibility problems during this time of year. So, we're just happy to have a good team putting our best foot forward against a very strong open division opponent like a Palisades.
Of course, that's tomorrow night. Before I let you go, we got to make that announcement. 4 games on LA 36 starting in October against Narbonne. So we're going to put up the 4 games at Narbonne, at Cleveland, at Chatsworth, at Taft. Those are the games. Actually, in September we're going to go, right? Yeah, September and October. We got a couple games in September and in October, so that's great. So congratulations on the TV schedule. They're all on the road because of your field, but we wish you the best of luck, and thanks for joining us on LA 36 again. Jason, you're a trooper, and we're going to have a great year together.
All my pleasure, guys. I really, like I said, I enjoy having conversations with the two of you, and I wish you guys all the best. Have a fantastic evening.
And best of luck tomorrow night swimming against the Dolphins.
Thanks.
All right, that's Jason Sabolic, and it'll be fun. I mean, starting with Narbonne, and Narbonne has that great history. They struggled in recent years, but that's not going to be easy either. But the Royals, Jason's doing a nice job building the program.
The city section teams that I see being successful, and Jason was successful last year, are the ones that kind of sharpen their tools in the non-league. They go up and they take their lumps early on, and then they are prepared for league play. And in El Camino Real's case, it'll be the West Valley League. In the West Valley League is 2-time defending Open champion Birmingham. So anyway, you got to play the tough ones at the beginning so you're prepared for your league play, and I think Jason will be.
The Rose Bowl's been putting together these Hall of Fames, and they've put together a California Hall of Fame for prep stars. And they came out with their inaugural list, and at the end of the year they'll display it at the Rose Bowl. And 100 great names. You got Tom Brady and all these different guys. It's an amazing list. And we're going to kick it around here a little bit. Aaron Rodgers, Warren Moon. We can go on and on. There's part of the list there. It's kind of hard to see. We got all these names. There are 13 coaches: Kevin Rooney, Bill Riddell, legendary names in Southern California. Really great guys. And for me, there's a lot of thoughts that go into this, because I covered Randall Cunningham. My first Division I football play-by-play job was the Rebels. and Randall was our quarterback, and I called his games for 3 years. He's a great quarterback at Santa Barbara High School, so he and his brother Sam Bam Cunningham are going in. And here's some pictures of some of the guys that are going in. But for me, Randall Cunningham and Warren Moon, who I saw his last game at Hamilton because they played my alma mater, North Hollywood, and Moon got intercepted in the fourth quarter by William Hunt, who returned it for a touchdown. The Huskies beat him, knocked Moon and Hamilton out in the rain at Birmingham. You were not at that game.
I was not at that game, but Randy, that's a good story. I mean, are there any other standouts? Did you get a chance to maybe see Chris Claiborne play at JW North, or maybe Deshaun Jackson at Pauley? You know, any other kind of more, you know, recent guys that you got the chance to play?
I did, you know, I'm a little bit different because I haven't, unlike Eric Sondheimer, who's really covered all these guys for the Daily News and the LA Times, I covered these guys maybe when they were in college and some of them when they're in the pros. I did do a talk show with Jim Plunkett, who's in there, the former great Raider quarterback. We did a pregame show on Raider football for a spell there. But there's some great names from Marcus Allen. You go on and on with these guys. You know, John Elway, of course, at Granada Hills. And I think it's a great list. And if you have a chance, take a look at this list because it's special to see some of the names that are on there.
I saw, you know, Junior Seau's on there, Tom Brady, Carson Palmer, Matt Leinart. You know, I'm kind of reeling off some USC guys here.
You know, there's 29 NFL Hall of Famers on this list.
Yeah, I think I saw Anthony Munoz on
you did. He's there.
You know, it's just a great list. And what actually, to me, I'm thinking, wait a minute. I don't know if you want to say first Hall of Fame class or just a Hall of Fame class in general, go up against any state in the country. This might be the most talented football state.
I think you can put this Hall of Fame group in with any Hall of Fame because it crosses over. You got a guy like Jackie Robinson.
Sure.
He's obviously a Hall of Fame baseball player, but he was great at Muir High School as a football player, and that's why he gets in. I just think it's just an unbelievable list, and it's great when they finally are displayed. They'll have the induction ceremony probably in the beginning of next year, and it's really phenomenal pictures and names that are on our screen right now. And it's really, as you say, a tremendous tribute to California football.
Yeah, and you know, you actually bring up a good point, and kind of one of our friends, Eric Sondheimer, mentioned today on Twitter that he's covering his 45th year of high school football. And, you know, technically he's a competitor of mine at the LA Times, but he once wrote for the LA Daily News, and he's covered most of these guys. You know, what an awesome career to say, hey, I saw him when, or I knew him when, and now these guys are going into the California Football Hall of Fame.
Eric's so proud he got his gold card,
That's
a little
right.
pass.
That's right.
He's got a pass now to all the games, and he was displaying that as well. And if you talk to Eric Sondheimer, the first name he always brings up is John Elway, because that's the guy he covered at Granada Hills High School, and obviously Elway went on to greatness at Stanford in the NFL and won a couple Super Bowls. All right, I know tomorrow night you have Chaminade and Oaks Christian. You looking forward to that?
Yeah, I am looking forward to that. That seems to be a game in the Daily News, kind of San Fernando Valley area. That's a game that opened up the season the last 5 years. So this is the 6th year in a row. Oaks will play Chaminade in an opener, and Oaks has beaten them 3 of the last 5. Chaminade won last year. So Chaminade could tie it up tomorrow night. I do think Oaks will win that game. But it's the Daily News number 4, Oaks Christian, versus Daily News number 5, Chaminade.
Girls volleyball tonight. Chatsworth with a nice win over San Pedro in the city section. 2 really good teams there. Went 5 sets. Chatsworth won there 15-4 in the 5th. As you can see, 3 points more for Valencia. They've tacked on a field goal, 29-6. It's getting late, though. We got under 8 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. 29-6 right now. Last ad before we leave you, a little basketball talk. Bronny James is in the news with dunks and blocks. Of course, LeBron James Jr., Sierra Canyon, same school as Jon Ellinghouse. LeBron James Jr. looks pretty good. Bronny's playing well.
I've been saying this for years. People give a bad rap to Bronny because he's not 6'8", 220 pounds coming out of high school like his dad. He's a 6'3", 6'4", elite athlete, pass first, good shooter from beyond the arc, plays hard, doesn't take any plays off, plays good defense. Bronny James is a high-level college prospect. Looking forward to seeing where he ends up.
And I look forward to seeing you again next week, Tarek.
Maybe.
Well, you got here like 5 minutes before we got on set.
Hey, showbiz, man. What
Hey,
can you say?
He's a star. What can I say? Tarek is a star. So for Tarek Fattal, I'm Randy Rosenbloon. Thanks for joining us. We thank Jon Ellinghouse of Sierra Canyon and Jason Sabolic of El Camino Real. We'll talk to you next week at 9 o'clock live next Thursday right here on SoCal Prep Report. Good night, everybody.